Hi guys, I'm Laurie Vitale. On this episode of Laurie in the Kitchen, I want to share with you how to make my pumpkin creme brulee. It's really easy and simple to make, and I figured it's a great fall spin on a classic, and it's how great for a holiday table. I mean, come on, or any holiday get together. If you're presenting pumpkin creme brulee to somebody, they think it's really fancy. Well, it is, and really difficult, but it's not difficult to make at all. Now, you're going to need some heavy cream. The list of ingredients is not very long, but you're going to need heavy cream, pure pumpkin puree, egg yolks, and I have a pinch of salt there, granulated sugar, vanilla bean paste, and you're also going to need some pumpkin pie spice. That is it. I have my oven preheated to 300. Now we're going to get going really quickly. In my small saucepan, I am going to add my heavy cream along with my pumpkin pie spice and a good bit of my vanilla bean paste that I just have a complete love affair with. So it's just going to go in anything and everything, I feel like. Turn that on, and you're just looking for that to come to a simmer. You don't want that to boil, but you want it to come to a simmer. You know it's there when you get like little bubbles forming around the edge. So what I'm going to do next, while that happens, is I'm going to take my egg yolks with the salt and my sugar. And I am going to beat this with a handheld electric whisk until it becomes really nice and pale in color. So I'm going to do that, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's there. That looks great. My cream is just about there, maybe literally 10 more seconds. So before that happens, I'm going to add my pumpkin puree to my egg yolk mixture and get that mixed in. And then slowly add the cream and keep mixing. Just going to pass this through a sieve. I do want to make sure I get everything out of there though, just in case any any eggs have curdled or there's a piece of eggshell that I missed or anything like that. It all gets taken away by the sift here, and also it makes it so that you don't get a lot of big chunks of the spices, so it's all really, really nice and smooth, which I like. And also because you added the spices at the same time that the cream was heating up, you like steeped those spices, all that flavor came all the way through. Now some people like to skim off some of this foam. I like to do that because if you don't, it doesn't alter the flavor at all, but it gives you these weird bubbles, and you see that little foam right there? So I just like to kind of skim that off and discard it. Don't get rid of too much of your custard, just a little bit, because it just gives you this really strange look. But again, it doesn't alter the flavor at all, so if you don't want to do that step, then don't do it. All right, take your ramekins, your shape, up to you, how big you want to go. I like to go about 3/4 of the way up. These look great. Now what I have here is some really hot water that I had simmering on the back stove, because you need to bake this in a water bath so that the custard bakes evenly. So you want to fill this about halfway up the ramekins with your hot water. And now I'm going to place this on a baking sheet so that it makes it really, really easy for me to slide this in and out of the oven. The time it takes for these to bake is obviously going to depend on how big you're making them. If you're making these much smaller to serve, for a cocktail party or anything like that, they're going to take a lot less time. If you're using an 8-ounce ramekin versus a 6-ounce ramekin, which is what I'm using, it's going to take a little bit more. But for this one, it's going to take about 40 minutes. You're looking for the edges to be set, but the middle will still be a bit wobbly, like a bit jiggly. That's what you want. Once it's at that point, I will show you what it looks like. Baking sheet. These were in the oven for 40 minutes. Now I want you to see something here, because I poked at it to show you. You see how the center is still jiggly? That's what you want it to be like. If you were to have taken off that layer of foam, if you will, on top after you poured it into your ramekin, you get a really smooth surface. But to me, it doesn't really matter at this point. It's not as thick of a layer of foam as it would have been if I didn't skim off some of it earlier. But once this is covered with sugar and caramelized on top, you'll never ever see it. Now at this point, these need to come to room temperature, and then once they're at room temperature, cover them with plastic wrap, pop them in the fridge overnight, and then we are going to be ready and get ready to serve them. My creme brulee was in the fridge overnight. Now, you need to caramelize the sugar top. Now, you can do one of two ways. You can do it one of two ways. You can buy a little blowtorch that actually comes with like a creme brulee kit. If you don't have that, don't go out in the garage and grab your husband's big blowtorch and use that because you'll set the kitchen on fire. What I like to do is just use the broiler. It really does exactly the same thing. You just need to be careful and maybe rotate your little pan around to make sure everything is getting evenly caramelized, but really that's it. So I like to take a little bit of sugar, and all you do, this is the easiest way to do it, I think. You put some sugar, and then you need a really thin layer. So you just kind of move it around like so. My broiler is preheated, and then whatever is not sticking to the custard, you move it on to the next one, and you just keep doing that until you have one thin layer of sugar on the top of the custard. These are all ready, and now I'm just going to pop them under the broiler for just a few seconds or until it's nice and caramelized on top, and then I'll show you what it looks like when they're done. Now, these were only under the broiler for a couple of minutes, and you got to be careful because you don't want that sugar to burn too much. And if you feel like the one thing, sort of the one pro that comes with using a small blowtorch is that the custard itself underneath doesn't get hot, therefore it doesn't lose its texture. And if you put this under the broiler for too long, it can. So when you do that, if that were to happen, just pop them in the fridge for a few minutes just to cool them down, and you are back to normal. No worrying about it. But salivating definitely must dig in. You hear that? That's a good sign. That's what you want to hear. Oh, that's what you want to see. That's a big bite though. I want to dive in. And it's so good. It's so creamy. The layer of sugar is absolute perfection. There's nothing about this that is not phenomenal, and it needs to be on your table for this holiday season. For whatever you want to serve it for, it belongs to be shared. Go to laurainthekitchen.com to get the written recipe. I'm like dying for you to get out of here so that I can go back into this. So embarrassing. Go to laurainthekitchen.com to get the written recipe. Hope you enjoy spending time with me, and I will see you next time.